Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, so in today's video we're going to be taking a look at some of the characters of Shadows of Brimstone, and mainly these are the characters that I have available for the Forbidden Fortress campaign setting. My group is going to be starting a series on Shadows of Brimstone this coming week. We were going to be playing Secrets of the Lost Station, but that is not going to be happening now, so we trying to think of something else to play. We're going to go back to SOB because we actually haven't played the Forbidden Fortress stuff yet, and we had a long-going campaign of the Western setting, but I wanted to switch into this, and I'm going to be playing a new character, and so are two of the other guys. One of my buddies is going to be playing his level 3 orphan. So we're going to come up with like a neat little story that brings where the orphan meets the Japanese setting in some kind of weird way or something. But I'm going to be picking a new character, and so I thought that would be kind of a cool opportunity just to go through the characters and talk about them a little bit. So one of the characters I want to play is going to be first here, and that is the Enforcer. So the Enforcer is kind of a tough guy. You probably see him like guarding a brothel or a casino or something. And he is an outlaw and a showman. And he definitely is a melee character. So he hits on a 3+, which is quite good. That's really good. I love that. More than a 50% chance. And his range really sucks on a 5+. So you don't really want to outfit him with any kind of ranged weapons. He is very unagile. He's very slow. He only has an agility of 1, and that can really come to bite you in the ass when you're trying to escape from like some of the non-combat encounters or something. He's super strong, low cunning and spirit, so he's definitely kind of like a thug type character. He doesn't have a lot of health, only 10, but he does have a defense of 3. So again, there's over a 50% chance that he's going to defend against any hit. And he has endurance. I don't know if he's the first of the heroes to have endurance or not, but it's the first one that I remember or am aware of. So he can only take, he can't take more than 4 wounds from a single hit. So he can really tank up against those the bosses. And his initiative is 2, which is really slow. Again, that could come into that could be a problem. And here's his mini here. It's an okay mini. I don't know why my camera won't stay focused on him, but there we go. So yeah, doing okay with him. And then let's see, his starting gear and items. So his starting abilities, which you can choose 1. He has a hard life, +2 sanity, and then once per turn or day in town, he can re-roll a willpower roll, and he's immune from all status effects, which is really nice. Failure is no option. +1 max grit, and you recover grit at the start of your activation each turn. That is an awesome card. But whenever he fails a mission, he has to cut off one of his fingers, like in Dishonor. And failed 5 missions, you're down 1 hand. Failed 10 missions, if you fail 10 missions, you lose the use of 1 hand. That should probably be. How are you using 1 hand? I get it. They didn't want to like completely cripple the character, but I might play that to where if you fail that many missions, you just have to retire. That's one thing I wish they would introduce in Shadows of Brimstone is ways for characters to retire. I think that would be pretty cool. And maybe you could pass on some of your abilities or skill to a protege or something like that. And then finding a weakness. Once per turn, I can use a grit to double damage rolls. So based on just the starting gear, he has a shoulder tattoo, which gives him more health. And then once per adventure, you can fully heal your health. And then his regular club. The nice thing about this guy is he can beat money out of people. So that's why I think he was probably like a bouncer at a casino or something. But pretty cool character. I like him. That's the one I'm leaning towards the most right now. And then next up we have the Kitsune, which is this kind of like fox spirit warrior. I like her pose. That's pretty cool. And I always like those weapons. And she is kind of like you would think, kind of an agile fighter, stealth, traveler, otherworld myth, but she also has a little bit of magic. She's good at kind of a stealthy hide. She's quick. She actually has more health than the Enforcer, but her range is a little better. Her melee, a little worse. She's not as good at defense, and she has a lot more sanity. She's definitely much faster. And then let's see, her starting abilities that she can choose from. Elemental Spirit. So she has a little bit of magic available to her. And if she chooses this one, she can learn some elemental magic. She's a trickster. She recovers grit on a move roll of 1 or 6 instead of just 1. And then she has different ways that she can use that grit. And then there's also Pounce. So she has a +1 move, and she may move through other models. And then her combat hits are +1 damage against enemies who have not activated this turn. So with this kind of card, you would really want to think of ways to get her, higher initiative and have her pounce all around the battlefield, taking out enemies who haven't moved yet. And then available to her is a small deck of magic, similar to the Sorceress in Shadows of Brimstone, or in Forbidden Fortress. So she has 2 available spells of earth magic, 2 wind, 2 water, and 2 fire. So she has Ignite, Disintegrate, Reflection, Water Spirits, Divine Focus, Roaring Wind, Fists of Stone, and Regrowth. And then her starting weapon here is the Kama Knives. So her combat hits treat enemy defense higher than 2 as only 2. So they're kind of like, they can get into the armor there. I like that. That's really cool. And then if you equip them in two-handed, you get a +1 initiative. So this weapon would really help you in combination with the Pounce skill. There does seem to be a little more thought into how their abilities interact in Forbidden Fortress. The characters seem a little more, not deep, but a little more, I guess just a slightly bit more intricate than some of the base characters in Shadows of Brimstone. Next up is the Soldier, which I think he's kind of one of the more boring characters. However, his starting equipment is pretty cool. So he has a good range, so he's definitely a ranged character. He's a soldier, he's a scout. He gets, one of his abilities gives him extra XP if he explores a new tile. He is low on health and his defense isn't great, but his stats are okay. You don't want to get another character out there to balance out the lore. He's kind of right in the middle of the initiative. If he doesn't move, he gets a +1 shot to any rifle that he's using, two-handed gun. So he wants to kind of stay stationary and pick off targets as they're coming. And let's see his starting abilities. He's got Sharpshooter. So anytime you kill an enemy with a ranged critical hit, recover grit on a roll of 4+. And then he can use that grit to add damage. I kind of dislike abilities where there's only a chance of them happening. I usually like to take a good starting ability to where you have a guarantee of something. He can fall back. He can make a free move up to 2 spaces, ignoring all escape tests. So he can move out of the way of enemies in order to use his rifle better. And then this is where he gets more XP if he is the one to explore. He can use his grit to redraw an encounter. So a good scout. He's like a good scout character. But I think his starting rifle is actually really good. You can be upgraded 3 times, which is amazing. You could turn this into just like a freaking hand cannon. It's got a range of 10. It only has 1 shot, so you only get 1 chance to hit that 3+. But if you're still, you get to add a shot, so you get 2 chances to hit. And that uses the P dice +1 for damage. And then hits from this gun may not be assigned to enemies adjacent to you. That's probably because the barrel is quite long, so you really need the range there. And then he's got this great armor, which gives him an armor of 6+ and 2 health. And that is the soldier. Ah, here's his mini here. I like his mini. He's cool. He looks neat. I like this little backpack he's carrying, and he still has that sword there. So the minis are definitely improving in Shadows of Brimstone. I still don't think they are fantastic as far as the detail goes, and I'm still not quite sure why you have to assemble them, because they're not like all that special. The Geisha, this is probably one of my least favorite characters. She's kind of like the saloon girl. I don't really like that she's dainty. I don't know. She can't use two-handed weapons. I get it, but it's very limiting. And she's kind of like the healer. She has that reassuring touch, just like the saloon girl and piano player did. She's super low health, but has good defense. Her range and melee are middling. She's a stealth showman performer. She has a +1 movement. She is very high initiative, so she can get in there and heal quickly if she needs to. Here is her mini. So I do like her mini. I think that's pretty cool. I thought the umbrella was a nice touch, and the way she's carrying her hidden dagger there. And let's see, her abilities are Comforting Laugh. Anytime you draw a loot card, you may recover grit on a 5 or 6. Again, one of those conditional rolls there that you have to make in order to get the benefit. And then all of your combat hits are +1 damage against enemies that have initiative equal to or lower than your cunning. And her cunning is pretty high. It's a 4. And I'm showing the picture I'm showing, the gender is like kind of like the standard gender for this role. You could also be a kabuki, which would be a male, but I don't have those alternative gender models. So that's kind of nice. She can like outwit. She can use her cunning. Her cunning helps her attack. I like that. That's a nice little touch. And then she has that +1 initiative, and at the end of your move, choose any enemy model adjacent to you until the end of that turn. That enemy is -1 defense, so she's distracting. And then her starting gear, she has her parasol, ignores weather effects. I'm not quite sure how much weather is a part of this game yet, so I don't know how useful that will be. And she can reroll a failed defense or escape roll once per turn. And then she has this hidden dagger, which gives her a free attack. So again, I think she's kind of like the most uninteresting of the characters so far. The Traveling Monk. Of course, this is the other character that I am thinking about playing, because I'm always playing a monk. In our D&D 5th edition game we're playing right now, I am of course playing a monk. Strike, 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 doing like 5 attacks in 1 turn. But yeah, I almost always play this kind of like spiritual hero. I like them. I've always liked these depiction of this kind of like I don't know, like a Shinto monk or something in Japanese folklore. Very cool. The bells on the staff and everything. So he's traveler, he's holy. His range and his melee range is not great. Melee is also, it's only a 50-50 chance on that melee, so he's going to be hard to hit. He's not very cunning, which I find that a little odd. But I guess if you think of cunning as a trickster, a monk wouldn't really be a trickster. He's more into spirit and lore, so I get the balance there. Not very good agile. I would like to see him have a little bit more luck. So he uses a ki or chi, and he gets I think he gets like 1 chi per turn, and as that builds up, he can use that chi to do certain things. And then his health is good, 12. Defense is okay. Sanity is, his willpower is very nice. And then his starting abilities. So he has max chi, and then he gains D3 chi tokens anytime the holdback of darkness is failed. So like, when the darkness moves, he gets stronger. That's really cool. I like that thematically. It's rare to find something in this game that something good happens when you fail a hold back the darkness roll. So I like that. I like that mechanism. Fists of Fury. Once per turn when making a melee attack, use a grit to roll an extra combat against each enemy currently adjacent to you, or roll 2 extra combat against a single large or bigger enemy adjacent to you. I like that. That is fun. And then an acrobatic flip. Once per turn, he can reroll a failed defense roll. And then if I spend chi for movement, gaining 2 extra move for each spent. I would definitely take Fist of Fury. And then his starting gear, he has his Monk Staff, which I love. Again, it can be upgraded 3 times. You could turn this into an amazing melee weapon. And you can heal, so you can use this to heal. And then if you use this two-handed, you get to roll the d8 for damage, which is super nice. And then the Sacred Bell, you can use once per adventure, and you can give cover to every single hero on the board. Awesome. So again, I'm leaning towards Enforcer or the Traveling Monk. And then let's see, next up we have the and then we have his chi card here, which just kind of explains the what you can do with the bell and how you gain your chi there. The Assassin here, pretty typical of what you would think of a ninja-like assassin. I'm surprised there just isn't a ninja class that you can play. So the Assassin, she's an outlaw, stealth, melee, yep, good melee, over 50% chance. Range, yeah, you probably don't want to get her range unless she's throwing shuriken or something. Her defense and her health are both, that's pretty tough there. She's not going to be defending, well, I guess that's a 50-50 chance, so that's pretty good, but her health is quite low. She gets to start as a certain ninja clan, which is cool. She's nimble. She has +1 movement. Her combat values ignore armor. And then she's +1 damage to a target if it's the only enemy adjacent to you. So she wants to pick off targets one by one. And she's a silent fighter, so she cannot use guns. So she's got a lot of bonuses, but she has that penalty that she can't use guns. And then, of course, she is quite agile. She's very fast. So you're going to just be getting in with her and taking out as many enemies as you can, moving around quickly. Her starting abilities here, she has Running Assault, so it adds to her movement, and then she can use her shuriken multiple times. A Smoke Bomb, she can use a Grit to immediately teleport up to D6 spaces, ignoring anything in those spaces. That is awesome. That is super cool. And then if you end this teleport at least 3 spaces from where you stand, gain 2 combat until the end of turn. So she wants to teleport a long ways right next to an enemy and get in there and stab him. That is really cool. And then Ruthless. This is cool. If she picks the Ruthless skill, she actually starts with a different main weapon, which I really like. And then, so we have her starting ability. So this is the one, if she picks Ruthless, she gets this pair of Sai. +1 combat, and then once per turn you may cancel an enemy combat hit because of the pairing, because Sais were used mainly for pairing, so that's super cool. But they can only be upgraded once. And then we have the Shuriken here, which is a free attack, but if you take that other skill, you can use that twice. You can get 2 free attacks with 2 dice, but she only hits on a 4-up. And maybe use any time during your move, but not while adjacent. So you really have to think about positioning with the Assassin. I think she's a cool character. I might think about playing her. And then you have your Ninjato, which is a short sword there, and her combat hits are critical hits on a 5-up, so that's always nice. But again, it can only be upgraded once. And then her Ninja Clan card. So these are the cards that she picks to see what bonus she gets from her Ninja Clan, and that'll give her certain bonuses for each one. You have the Lotus Clan, the Hidden Dragon Clan, the Sobara Masters, and the Okasa Brotherhood. So lots of options with her. I like that. Let's see, we have the Samurai Warrior, which is probably, again, one of my least favorite characters because he is so much like the Wandering Samurai. I don't even really know. He's too much like the Wandering Samurai, which I was playing in my old game and I liked him, but I would have much rather seen something very different. It just seems almost like a reskin of the Wandering Samurai character. I don't have his character sheet handy, so I can't tell exactly what's the same, but it's very, very similar. He uses Fury. He's going to get Fury to use his battle arts. He has Tactics, Battle Fury. His health is pretty good, defense is good. He even starts with similar weapons as the Wandering Samurai. But he has a Wall of Steel. He can reroll armor, failed armor tests, max fury, so he'll be able to use his tactics more frequently, and his Rising Sun. Some of these, I don't know about some of these names. They use a lot of old terminology. I don't know, like Rising Sun, Fist of Fury. Little sketchy on some of the terminology, but you gotta take this in as a pulp adventure, and so it embraces the pulp side of the setting. So he can use grit to add 2 damage to a combat roll. Whenever the holdback is failed, whenever the holdback, the darkness roll is failed, again, something that good that happens when you fail the darkness roll, he can recover a grit. And again, his starting gear is pretty boring. It's pretty much the same as the Wandering Samurai. You get samurai armor, a katana, and a samurai helmet. And then his battle tactics. You get a card explaining how to get fury and how to use your battle tactics. And then his little deck of battle tactics here: Furious Slash, Lunging Thrust, Stalwart Advance, Sweeping Slice, Standing Your Ground, Spearhead, Shoulder to Shoulder, Collecting Heads, Challenge, and Parry. All right, we're almost through here. The next up is one of the Kickstarter exclusive characters, I think, and that was the Trederran Veteran, who somehow he ended up in Japan. Maybe a Tom Cruise Last Samurai type thing. Some guy from like the Civil War era Weird West coming to Japan. That's probably the thematic thinking of this guy. This guy has a ton of cool stuff, I think. He's another character I'm thinking about playing. I hardly ever play ranged characters, so maybe I will do the Trederran Veteran. His stats are pretty middling. 2, 3, 2, 3, 1. His health, a defense of a 4-up. So looking at his stats, I wouldn't say he's very great, but he gets to start with a Trederran faction, which gives him a bonus. His defense is 3+ instead against enemy ranged attacks, so he's better at dodging ranged attacks. And he's an Otherworld native, so he's from Trederra, and he starts with a personal item instead of a normal. He starts with a special personal item, and unfortunately, I don't think I took those out of the box. So let's see. His starting abilities, he can do Field Officer, and then if he chooses that, he gets a special starting item. If he chooses From the Front Lines, he can start with Shatter Grenades, which are awesome. He also gains a free attack once per fight to throw a Shatter Grenade, and he also starts with a different type of ranged weapon. And then Tainted by War, he has more grit. He starts with a mutation, and then when rolling mutation, always roll twice and choose which ones to keep. So he can get mutated beneficially, maybe. And then let's see, his starting gear. So he's got a lot. So he's got his Officer's Saber he can have, his Veteran's Breath Mask. So these two always come in. He's got his Worn Trench Coat. And then he's got his standard pistol, and then this old Darkstone carbine, which I really like that. That is awesome. But you have to take 1 corruption hit to fire, but a range of 10, shots 2, and does D8 for damage. So pretty cool on the Trederran Warrior. And then here are his his veteran factions that he can choose from. The Karakuris Confederacy, the Shintaro Corps, the Republic of Tarkhan, Liberation Army, the Union, and the Royal Foundry. So lots of neat things. These add a lot of stuff. They have each one has a cool little backstory, and then you're going to get all kinds of different bonuses for each one. Yeah, I like him. He's up there too. So far I want to be the Wandering Monk, the Trederran Veteran, the Enforcer, or the Samurai. Those are my 4 top choices. And now we're coming to my 5th choice, the Sumo. When I was super into Street Fighter 2, my main was E Honda. And so when I found out that there was going to be a Sumo in this game, I immediately fell in love. I love this. He's a large hero, so he can actually push small monsters out of the way. He's the first large hero. And it says that right there. So of course, strength is high. Spirit is pretty good. Melee is great. You don't want him to be ranged. His health, holy crap, look at that, 20 health, and he has a better than 50% chance to block. He is like the ultimate tank. I love that. He can push. He's got meaty hands. Yeah, he gains a +1 combat for each open hand he has. So you don't even want weapons with this guy. You just want him in there doing his E Honda, 1,000 fist punch. What's that? What was that? Kinshiro? Is that the guy from Fist of the North Star style punching? So multi-hand slap, of course, that's you have to take multi-hand slap if you're going to be the Sumo. I don't even know why they made others. Wrestling champion and belly smash. So yeah, you want the 1,000-hand slap, multi-hand slap with the Sumo, with no weapons, with 20 health. You are just going to be a tank and a half, to the point that it might get a little boring or samey. And then his only starting gear is the Sumo Mawashi, his little loincloth thing there. So again, yeah, you might get a little bored playing the Sumo. I think what you would want to do is go through and collect like tattoos that you could use. Oh, you know, I don't think I showed the Wandering Samurai because I was so bored by him. Or not the Samurai Warrior or whatever he was. So I like the Wandering Samurai mini better. And then finally, we come to the Sorceress, the main magic user. I've never played a magic user in SOB, and she looks like a very interesting one. She uses mana. She can choose an element to focus on. She may not use guns, but she comes with an additional starting ability that gives her a permanent ranged attack, which is pretty cool, like a little magic blast, a magic missile type thing. Her health is very low, and her defense is not great, but she does have good sanity and willpower. So her starting gear here. So this is her Elemental Blast. This is a free starting upgrade that she gets, which is a range 8, and it has some different bonuses and stuff. So she always has that available to her. And then she also has Blood of the Dragon. She's immune to poison. Arcane Protection. She can ignore the effects of an enemy spell. There does seem to be more poison, more status effects, and more magic in Forbidden Fortress. Or she can be from the demon, or have the demon Fireclaw. Use 1 grit to gain +2 combat. But I don't know if you really want her using combat. I don't know. I think you really want her to focus on her magic. And she starts with the Roku Demon Bag. Her elemental magic, her magic components in this bag gives her different amounts of arcane powder, which she can use to cast spells. And then her magic here is, so you get a card that tells you about how to use her magic, and then you have all of her different elemental magic. So you have fire, water, wind, and earth. A really good assortment of these, and she gets to choose a certain number. I'm just going to go through these really quick. You can pause and read if you want. A lot of different variety here. I like this a lot. They definitely did not skimp out on the variety of magical spells in this game. It'd be cool to see just a whole expansion of just cards that all deal with magic in Forbidden Fortress. I would like that a lot. So hopefully one of the guys I'm playing with picks her, because I think she would be a really interesting character to have in the group. And then of course we have our old lantern that the main hero will get. Oh, I do have the personal items. So the Trederran Veteran will get one of these special personal items. You have a medal of like an old war he was in, a pressed flower. Wow, super thematic. Man, the Flying Frog guys, they really put a lot of focus on theme. Some magic dice, a necklace, an old photograph. That is super cool. I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards the Trederran Veteran when I see his a letter from home. It seems like he has a lot of cool things to add some interesting narrative story to your campaign. And then we'll just flip through the other personal items. So again, you draw one of these at random when you play, and this is kind of like gives your character a little background. You can think about how they are using, where they found this item, or what it means to them. And each one is actually pretty powerful. I've never really had a bad one, and I like picking them at random because you never know what you're going to get, but it's always something that you can use in interesting ways. I guess some are probably better than others, of course, and some will match a certain character better than others. I'm thinking maybe on this game we'll allow the players to draw two and pick one, but they have to come up with a cool little backstory for as why it's important to their character. But all right, well, thanks for watching, everybody. That was my look at the characters from Forbidden Fortress. We're going to be starting this Thursday, coming up in just a few days. So if you have any suggestions of a character you think I should play, or if you have played any of these characters, please let me know which ones you really like. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.